Do you know that verse? Behold, I'm doing a new thing. That God speaks through his prophet Isaiah to the people, and there's this lovely kind of sense in it of people being encouraged to see God as the God of new things. Well, he is the God of new things. And time again, I have discovered him to be that faithful God who does new things and invites us to be curious about the new thing, to explore what it is that he's doing, and takes us on a journey with that. There's a guy called William Bridges who many years ago wrote a book called Transitioning, and that book it wasn't a kind of bestseller type thing. I don't think at that stage. In a sense, it was a little bit more like a kind of teaching book, but it's been reprinted and referred to a great deal since he first released it. And I think what he was kind of trying to say in his book was that in transition, we sometimes get it the wrong way around, and we kind of think that we start with a new beginning. And in fact, he puts it like this: that actually we start with endings, and then we have what he calls a neutral zone, a time of journeying, and then we find the new beginning, and we enter a new beginning. And I think that's a really good way of thinking for this time. It's a really good way of reflecting, and for us to understand the process of God's new thing. And so let's remember that the last 6 months and more, we've been in a time of endings. Not least the pandemic deaths and all that kind of stuff, but also endings in all sorts of ways. It's like, we had all these habits and routines and things that we did and stuff that happened that ended. And we, at this stage, a lot of them, we don't have any kind of sign of how they're going to kind of really come back into any shape that we had before. It's like we've had to end a whole lot. We've been hit by an ending, and so we need to recognise that that amongst this whole time there's been lots and lots and lots of endings, not least for us as a church, as we've ended a whole load of things. And we've entered into what Bridges calls the neutral zone. It's not a very kind of a good way of putting it in some ways, but neutral, I guess it's just this zone that we walk through, and there's all sorts of uncertainties, and we're making our way through it, and we don't quite know what we're going to end up with, what things are going to like. We've got an inkling, and we're kind of working it out. But we just are in that kind of zone. And that's where we are at the moment. We're in that kind of zone, just trying to work some things out. Trying to work out our people and places of discipleship for this time, what God's saying to us in this time. Interestingly, the Exodus was clearly a time of this. They had an ending in Egypt with their slavery ending and their walk into freedom. But that wasn't, in a sense, the new beginning. That was an entry into neutral zone, and they wandered in the desert, and they were formed by God in the desert place, in the wilderness, getting ready for the new beginning in the promised land. And let's see it like that for us, that we're heading towards something. The Lord is going to form us and help us to grow and develop in this neutral zone, in this wilderness, this desert that we're going through, this transition, this journey, and that we're heading towards a land of promise that is yet to be fully revealed to us, that God wants to lead us through, that is a new beginning. And so I just want to encourage you to have that kind of understanding and attitude. Don't be afraid of this time. Don't panic about this time and all the uncertainties. Stick closely to the Lord. What the people learnt in the wilderness time and time again was when they went away from God, it wasn't good for them. When they stayed close to God, it was good for them and provision came. When they returned to God and they repented, so they were led further towards the new beginning. So be encouraged. Keep having a high expectation of God's new thing. And don't be afraid.